Last time we talked about getting a new job or losing a job. So, as I said, I've been fired from quite a few jobs, going all the way back to when I was in high school or just out of high school. So, I want to talk about what happens when you do get fired from a job and how you need to handle it, because I think a lot of people just don't handle it well. It's an insult. Sometimes you see it coming, sometimes you're totally blindsided. It's an ego thing. We're all like, oh man, how could you fire me? But I would say probably a little more than half of the time, you probably deserved it. So I'll give you one case in point of handling it badly. So I was either still in high school or fresh out of high school, and I worked in a department store. And the training was not great. It was one of my first jobs, so I was a little, green, not too sophisticated. And on this one occasion, I wound up at a customer service station. Only they forgot to tell me that I was customer service. So I didn't know I was doing customer service. I had never been trained in customer service. I either worked the floor, which meant folding up stuff and neatening things, or a cash register. That's, customer service is a whole different thing. So they never told me I was customer service, and some lady needed to do something, and I didn't know that that's what I was supposed to do, and so I sent her somewhere else, and there was a problem, and then the store security nabbed her, and so it turned out to be a big hoopla. And a lot of times, like I said, they're looking for reasons to get rid of you. You don't think when they open, say for instance, a new department store, and there's 25 positions they have to hire, they'd be stupid not to hire, 35 or 50 people. Because you got to know there's a crap load of them that aren't going to work out. They're either not going to show up, or they're going to totally mess up the job. There's a lot of reasons that happens. But just like airplanes, they overbook, because that way they make sure all the seats are sold. They can make money. Same way with a job. So needless to say, at the end of a certain period, and I don't know how long it was, but it wasn't too long, a bunch of us got sacked. And I kind of figured it was coming, because you know the drill, you know what it is when you walk down that lonely mile. So I knew it was coming, and I was about the 5th or 6th or 8th, I don't know. There was quite a few people in front of me, and as they came out, they were all crying and carrying on, and I thought, you know what? No. That's not the way I'm going out. I'm going to make them work for it. I'm not going to give it to them. I'm not going to make it easy. So I go in and I sit down, and the manager says, well, you know why you're here? And I was like, yes. And he said, well, do you have anything to say? And I was like, it's your decision. I'm not entirely sure why, and I don't recall that he really went into much detail, but he said, so you know what's going to happen? I said, say it. Go ahead and say it. Well, I've been in a position where I've had to fire people. It's very unpleasant. I'm sure there's somebody out there who enjoys inflicting that on other people, but it was never me. And clearly not for this person, but like I said, I wasn't going to make it easy for him. And I said, say it. Go ahead and say what you want to say. Because I'm not going to cry about this. I got a little attitude. Didn't help me at all. But I did get a little tiny bit of pleasure over him being real uncomfortable, which he was, while I was being obnoxious. And so I left that job and I went on to another job. And that's not the way to handle it. You never want to do that. You never want to throw someone else under the bus. You never want to make excuses for not doing what you probably should have been doing, or not knowing what you were supposed to be doing. A lot of this comes with age and experience. But you should always, no matter how pissed off you are, or how upset you are, don't cry, don't make a scene, don't be obnoxious, don't be rude. Take it, just take the higher road. You have to take the higher road, because anything less than that does not work for you. It will not score you any points. It won't get you anywhere. And there's a couple of reasons I'm telling you this. One, if you stay in the same industry, you're bound to run into people that you've worked with in other places. It's a given. You are always going to be somewhere where you wind up knowing somebody from somewhere else, some place that you've been before. And they already have preconceived notions of who you are or what you're about. So that puts you at a disadvantage. The thing to do is to go in, and when they say, you know, we're going to have to let you go, what you need to do is say, I'm really interested in knowing what I did wrong, or how could I do better, or you know, sort of the reason behind it. And then you thank them, serious. You thank them for the opportunity that you had here. And ask them, would they be so kind as to give you a reference? Okay, because this is so important. Even though by law that nobody can, when somebody calls to ask if you work for the company and how were you, they can't say, oh my God, they were horrible, don't hire them. No, they can't do any of that. But there's ways of getting around that. There's ways of getting around that, so you never want to burn any bridges. You never want to piss somebody off. Let me tell you about another opportunity. I worked at another place. I worked there for a little while. It was not the best environment. It never is when you are making a low wage. You have no benefits, no sick time, no vacation time, and the job is stressful. Okay, so this is just like, I don't know, a recipe for disaster. Not only for you, but the job you're doing, and even the people you work for. So anyway, eventually, again, I got fired. I was humiliated, incredibly humiliated, because a lot of these people I would see outside of work, and they would all know that I was fired. It was so stressful, I can't even begin to tell you. But by this time in my life, I realized I had nothing to gain by not handling it with the most grace and most decorum I could muster. Now, I don't know that I handled it well. I think there were some tears, but I thanked them for the time that I had there and was sorry that I didn't meet their expectations. Seriously, I said that. I'm not going to tell you what I really wanted to say, but that's what I said. Now, fast forward a couple of months, and I decided that I was going to start my own business. And do you know that this company that fired me gave me referrals? Yeah, they gave me referrals. In addition to that, they had a product that they couldn't always meet the demands of, oh my gosh, brain fart. They were always out of stock on this one particular thing. And I knew that I could supply that. I could supply an even better product at the same price and maybe even make a little bit more. And so that's what I did. And they were thrilled to be able to do that, because it wasn't so much that they looked at me as usurping their product line as they couldn't deliver to the customer. And they didn't want their customers to be pissed off. So I became another source for that item. Imagine that. Now, if I had gone in and been obnoxious or been rude or got an attitude, none of these things would have happened. So this is why I say to you, if you lose a job, and here's another thing too, every time I've lost a job, the next one is even better. If you stop and think about it, I mean, if you're going to be honest with yourself, and you should always be honest with yourself. You don't have to be honest with everybody else, but you should always be honest with yourself. When you look back in retrospect, you know the different ways that you failed that job. You know what you could have done better, what you didn't do better, any of that kind of stuff. So this helps you in your quest for the next job. The next one's always going to be better because now you have that knowledge. Now you know where you went wrong, where you veered to this way when you should have been going straight. So take all this stuff down. Actually, you should be writing it down because you can use it for reference later on. It always helps you to move forward. It helps you to move forward that way. Never be afraid to get fired. Because I'm telling you, some of the best things that have ever happened to me have happened once I got fired. None of us look forward to finding the next job, looking for the next job. It's a chore. It's a challenge. It's intimidating. And sometimes it's damn right frightening. But you should always have your resume ready. You should always be updating it. Always be updating it. So that when the next opportunity comes, boom, you're ready. So, the takeaway is, don't be afraid. It's not bad to lose a job. And even nowadays, you can even tell people. You can even put it on your resume. I was fired. I was let go. I think let go is better than fired, because fired is just, it's a little heavy. But a lot of times, they don't care about that. They're just interested in where are you now and what can you do for us. And that's where your resume should be heading anyway. Always be prepared. Move on to the next adventure. Getting fired is not so bad. Just do it with aplomb, with grace, with everything you got. Be the nicest guy you can. In fact, the last job I left, I went back and brought my old boss, who fired me, something that I had been promising to do for him, so I did it, and I delivered it, and I also fixed a piece of equipment that he had broken, and I said I would. So this just shocked the shit out of him. But that's what you want to do. You want them to feel bad that they fired you. And remember, no burning bridges. You never know who you're going to meet on your journey. And I have on many occasions met people that I worked with at other companies. One of my favorite stories is I worked for this one woman who was horrendous. She was mean. She was nasty. She worked me like a dog. Took the credit for it. And I realized that, not that this made it easier, but I realized that she was in a position that she was not ready for, did not feel equipped for, felt inadequate about, and was doing a crappy job of it. So she had her own demons she was trying to slay, but throwing me under the bus wasn't going to get her anywhere. And eventually I requested a transfer, which I got, and she lost her job. Not because I left, but eventually, she just couldn't get past the fact that she wasn't really up to the task, and they let her go. And later on, a year or two later, I was in a position where I could have hired her. Now, I'm smiling, so you know what's going to come next. Oh, hell no, I did not. She could have done the job. She would have been great. But you know what? Payback's a bitch. And that's part of it. So always position yourself so that you're in the right place. And you don't do that by being mean and nasty. Seriously. I wasn't nasty about not hiring her. I just said that, the position wasn't available. but deep down, I was having a happy day. So that's all I have to say for jobs today. Losing jobs, not a bad thing. Move on. Let it go. Glad we took this time to chat. I'll see you soon. Bye.